Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to. My name is Brett,
I'm Jules.
and this is Brett and Jules Talk to Ya. For our first episode, we don't have any special guests, but we might have some in the future. So, yeah, here we go. Just as an introduction, I'm a senior in high school right now, and he graduated 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago. So you're how old?
19.
And I'm 18. So there you go. So that's our age, just for reference. Let's talk about growing up with social media. Well, what's it going to look like? You know, what does it look like right now? And what is it going to look like in the future? Think about, you know, I think what we can dive into is part of it is going to be what is it like right now for us, having grown up with social media, also grown up kind of in the conception of social media.
Right.
Because, you know, I remember when I was a kid, you know, Instagram and Facebook and those things, I think they might have existed at least, but they weren't like as big as I think they are now. Imagine you're going to be maybe if you're a father in 20 years, the fact that you will have had a social media profile your entire life from the moment you were a kid.
Oh, God, wait.
So there's a lot to think about. So what has it been like in your life growing up with social media?
Oof. Okay. Got my first phone when I turned 13, I believe. Shitty old iPhone. Loved it. I had it for like 3 years, and I think Snapchat was the only like real social media app.
Wait, this was when you were how old?
When I was 13.
You had Snapchat when you were 13?
Yep. Everyone at my school had Snapchat. So I'm just like, hey, all my friends have Snapchat. This is another way to communicate with my friends besides texting them. And I hated it. If I already had their number, I would just text them instead of using Snapchat. Like,
Yeah.
and I had no reason to snap them because I looked fucking ugly and I didn't have any activities going on. It was kind of just a lose-lose if I used it. I think when I was 14, maybe, I don't know, into middle school or whatever, I found Discord, and oh boy.
And it all went downhill from
Yeah,
there.
basically, yeah. Yeah, that's been like my main social media for the past 5 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, now Instagram. I have not touched TikTok at all. I've not really gone back into Snapchat. You know, I use it to keep up with friends and what they're doing and stuff like that, but it never clicks with me. Why would I take a snap when I can just send someone a text?
Yeah. I think you make a very valid point.
What about you? What about, how would you describe your early ages of social media?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I guess first thing I'll start off with is that my parents had this thing where they really didn't want to get me a phone until I went into 8th grade. Looking back, it was a smart idea, and I'm thankful that they waited that long, but I definitely was not very happy with it while I was in middle school. I feel like if you give someone a phone too early, they're going to turn out like an iPad kid.
Yeah.
Versus like, you know, you need some time to focus on what it's like without one, focus on yourself more than like the social network that a phone gives you access to. But at the same time, I think within that, you know, I remember being in 6th and 7th grade, and like my friends would play in Hangouts, and it's not that they didn't want to invite me to Hangouts, it's the fact that since I didn't have a phone, they couldn't text me about it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wouldn't get invited to things because it was not convenient, you know, because they'd have to call me on my home phone
Okay.
to invite me to a hangout after school. Like, how does that work? And so I'd find out about that later, that I didn't get invited to things, and it kind of made me a little bit sad. I don't exactly blame them because, you know, it would have been hella inconvenient, but like it also just kind of sucked. But, you know, that was like a small price to pay, I guess, for I think having a better development as a child.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of just went on that whole tangent, but I forgot to mention I actually had Instagram when I was in 4th grade. I had this iPad. It was like, you know, one of those big ass iPads. It's like the huge
yes,
one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to use Instagram
Oh my God.
on a big iPad. Yeah, so I had Instagram on my iPad when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and it was one of those things where I wasn't posting to keep up with the social status and
Right.
social numbers. I was just posting the most random shit
Just
ever
'cause you
I was
could,
like,
right?
just
Just
because
'cause
I
you could.
could.
Yeah.
And I had that on my iPad, and then eventually I got a phone when I was in 8th grade, so I transferred all my social media apps over there. I guess I'll mention in the beginning, though, while I'm still talking about my social media usage, is I got Discord when I was, I think, 7th grade. So I would talk to some people on Discord. I have some crazy experiences of just like talking to I don't talk to random people on Discord anymore, but I used to just join random servers and just talk with people.
Right.
I got really ingrained in this one server
Yeah.
to the point where I like, kind of became my whole life. You know, I feel like I'm not chronically online anymore, but oh god, I used to be so bad. I have Discord now. I use Discord a lot. It's helped me, basically all of my friends talk. We all talk to each other. And I recently just re-downloaded Snapchat. I think it's because my friend told me that he talks to a lot of girls with Snapchat, and I was like, well, if I want to talk to more girls, maybe I should get Snapchat, because apparently that's like better than Tinder or something. It hasn't really worked out for me at any point so far, but I mean, you know, I guess I'm still trying.
You try and you try.
Yeah, you try and you try. I'm very similar to you in the fact that I never got TikTok, and I never had an interest in it, and I'm very glad I didn't, and I never probably will get it.
On the contrary, I know for a fact we are both addicted to Instagram Reels.
Yeah, he thinks that's funny.
He thinks that's funny.
I hope that might pick that
I
up
hope
with
to
him.
God.
If it did pick that up, we're gonna look schizophrenic
Oh
on the
my
video,
God.
because I just like look over there and there's nothing there. Okay, I guess before I go back to like my childhood, I think that's an interesting point to bring up. Just a couple weeks ago, the TikTok ban happened for one day. No, it wasn't even a day.
It was like maybe 8 to 12 hours.
I remember somebody was telling me like, oh, you think you're so good because you don't have TikTok. Well, you still watch Instagram Reels. Yeah, Instagram Reels is the same like idea as like the short form content as TikTok. But the difference for me is that Instagram has an actual function in addition. Well, how would you feel if Instagram got banned? And my point was that Instagram has a function of, you know, you check in on people's lives, right? You know, you post about stuff, you can look at people's profiles. You kind of get a sense of what a person is like sometimes from their profile. It has that function where you can basically post about your life versus TikTok, the only function of TikTok.
It's just reviews.
Yeah, it's just short form content. It's the only function that TikTok has. But that's what I'm saying is when someone's like, oh, well, how'd you feel if Instagram got banned? It's like, I feel like it's different. There's more to it.
Well, that's why both are like striving, because it appeals to different audiences, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It just so happens that I prefer Instagram and the car crashes that I see there.
The Reels are much better, I will say.
Yeah.
Before I send it back to you, talk about something else, I just want to mention an interesting story that I remember. Is when I was in 4th or 5th grade, you know, I was a really stupid kid. I was really fucking stupid. I'm not even saying this in context of the story. I'm just saying I was just really stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just basically stating that as a fact.
Okay.
I was just really dumb. I was like, ooh, I want to post like edgy stuff on my Instagram.
God.
And so there was one time I think I was annoyed at something at school, and I made a post. It was just a picture of like a piece of homework, and I was like, this assignment is hell. I posted that. I was like, oh, that's gonna tell them, right?
That'll rile them up.
Oh, that'll rile them up. My parents came to me and said that my aunt saw it and was appalled by the language I was using as a 4th grader, and they told me I needed to take the post down. And I was like, well, shit. I guess I gotta take the post down.
And then took the post down.
I guess I would, if I wanted to relate that to the larger point that we're trying to get at here, is that having social media at a younger age sometimes can teach you that you need to be a little more careful about what you post on the internet. Because if you make a mistake like that and you hear back from it, you know. I've always lived my life thinking there's no better way to learn from making bad mistakes. You know, you're never going to learn unless you fuck up so bad that you have to fix something. Because then you're not going to do it again.
I remember my aunt also followed me because I had an older Instagram account and then I made a new one. But my older Instagram account, I would post me like hacking in Minecraft and be like, I'm so edgy. And then there was just one time where I posted like having a fun in class with a smiley face, I think. And my aunt, like on my mom's side, just went, young man, that's not how school is meant to be had, or something along those lines.
School is meant to be had.
Yeah. And yeah, it kind of just like hit a nerve, like, oh, my family sees this shit too.
Yeah, I have a very similar thing that just happened. I saw it this morning as I posted a Metallica song on my Instagram notes. For anyone watching who likes Metallica, it was Phantom Lord, which is one of the last songs in the album Kill 'Em All, which is their first debut album. Dude, I'm becoming such a Metallica nerd. I've been listening so much recently. And so I posted it, and it's the ending of the song, and he's like, it's like this crazy guitar. He's like, burning your knees! My grandma opened the note, clearly listened to the song, and she replied to the note with the song saying, this song is very scary, with like the emoji. And then I was like, and she was like, we love you, Grammy. I read that in the morning. I was like, this song is very scary. I was like, yeah, my grandma sees this shit.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you had this in your middle school or like very early high school or even elementary school. Did you ever have like a privacy like privacy agreement where people would read through the privacy agreements of different social media apps.
Are you talking about this as a social thing, or this is a thing in the app?
In our class in
Oh,
middle
in
school,
class.
we had a lesson where we sat down. We each took a user agreement form from a different social media app, and we had to read through it and read all the shit that they collected about us. It made me think about like how our lives have just become infiltrated. Like this is the first time in 20 years where children are being exploited basically for their personal info.
The fact that, I mean, that's like, you were like
To be fair.
like 12 or something.
To be fair, it was a private Catholic middle school, so they had extra funding or something. I don't know.
There's a guy nowadays, yeah.
What guy? Oh, that
I
guy.
wonder what he thinks we're doing. To anybody watching this video, just for context, it's 1:45 in the morning, so this is not exactly a popular hour. So we're also in the middle of a city park, which
It's
is also
great.
not a very conventional spot to set up a camera and film. I feel like we probably covered a lot of the earlier stuff. Kind of the alternative is when we get older, what is it going to be like, not only for us, but for like our kids? Because, you know, your parents, for example, parents grew up in a time where that wasn't a thing. And now, you know, your parents can look up other parents on social media and
Yeah.
probably find
Facebook.
yeah, Facebook and like the posts, you know, the casual posts about what
Yeah.
I did with my family this winter break, you know. I've been posting about my life on Instagram since I was in like 4th grade. And as long as Instagram still exists in 20 years, my kids can look at my Instagram profile. And also anybody you meet as an adult can also go look at your Instagram
They can just
profile
look
and
you up.
see what you were
Yeah.
like 30 years ago. So, what are your thoughts on not only other parents seeing you, but also maybe potentially if you have kids, you know, what kind of effect does that have on the future generations?
See, now, this is where you and I kind of differ a little bit, because I only go on Instagram to, like, catch up with my other friends' lives. I hardly post anything. I don't think I have a single post on Instagram.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's less about you personally, just more like
It's
looking
more
at it
about,
from
like,
an
other
objective
people. Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, for
But
sure.
That
But
is an interesting point to mention, is that you would probably be less
I don't know what happened.
prone
It just didn't
to
happen.
being like internet-ally probed.
For a lot of people, they're going to be posting a lot of, like, quote-unquote dad lore that their kids are going to look back and say, wait, hold on. You crashed your SUV in sand dunes in the middle of nowhere? Oh, okay, that's our father.
That's
yeah.
awesome!
That's awesome!
Yes!
But then on the flip side, that's also like they can just call back to that, saying like, oh, like if you as a parent criticize them for doing what you did as a child, they can like literally show you their phone, be like, look at this, see this? You did this as a kid. Don't blame me.
I feel like, honestly, my solution would be I would either private a lot of posts on... But that's the other thing, though, is that I don't want to, like, have to private my entire profile
And you
just
shouldn't.
because of my kids.
And you shouldn't,
When
yeah.
anybody else can see it. But then
Yeah.
I also would be a little concerned about what they would think, seeing, you know... Not that I have bad things on my Instagram, but just that I don't want to give them the wrong impression.
Right. You learn from your mistakes, but also it was really fucking cool.
Oh, it was so cool.
But
This was just a point in time. Just the other day, we had a lot of snow days this week.
it was fun.
It was so fun. And we attached a sled to our cars.
I did see that.
Yeah, that was
Oh
pretty
my
cool.
god, bro.
I'll
That
put
looked
I'll
awesome.
put a video clip on screen. But we had our sleds attached to our car via a rope, and we were
so
pulling
dangerous.
it around the neighborhood. And like that was so awesome. It was so cool. But like, do I really want my 8-year-old kid to see me? Maybe when they're like 15, it's okay. But like when they're growing up, it's like, do I really want them to see that? I wouldn't mind if other adults saw that because they would see I was having fun as a kid.
Yeah.
But how do I hide it from just my kid?
Well, there's the thing. You do what your parents did. You give them a phone when they
good
turn the right age and when they're mentally capable of being like, oh shit, ha ha ha, that shit's funny. I'm
a
not
good
gonna do that.
I mean, that kind of begs the other question of like, at what age in the future do you think it would be good to give your kid social media?
Right. I'm gonna have like 14-factor authentication on everything because knowing my parents, they did not know how to actually like lock down my stuff.
When my parents put a passcode on my new phone, I think I figured out the passcode that night
Yeah.
and used it like for at least a year before they figured out that I figured it out, and then they switched it and I figured out the new one.
Oh my god. Yeah, I would just actually try to parental control, you know, at least until they're like 14, 15. Just monitor what they're trying to watch or watching in general, or trying like what apps they're downloading and stuff like that. Analyze that shit, and be like, hey, this app is known to not be good for your mental health. I want to talk to you on why you have it in the first place. And really just like have a conversation of like, why do you actually need this app? You can have fun, you can post that stuff, but why does it have to be on this app? Like, it can be on a different app where there aren't as many car crashes.
But they're so entertaining.
They're so entertaining.
They're
What
so
am I saying?
entertaining.
But I don't know. It's really just like the monitoring your kids while still giving them the freedom. It's a balance. If it's a give and take.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
No, I
Like,
think that's a good way to look at it. I'd imagine that I'll probably have a more mature perspective on it when I'm
Oh yeah, for
of
sure.
the age to have a kid. Because I'm not trying to have a kid in my 20s. If I have a kid in my 20s,
You're ending it all.
if my kid in my 20s is watching this, you probably won't know me. You probably won't know I'm your dad.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do my best to not have a kid in my 20s because I don't want to deal with that early. You know, you're still trying to figure your shit out in your 20s. I don't know how people...
It's
I don't know how people get...
impossible.
They get married at like 19.
It's just
And then they have a kid at like 20. I'm like, if you already got all your shit figured out, that's okay. But most people do not have their shit figured out in
Yeah.
their 20s. Even like early 30s, you probably are still figuring
And
things
even
out.
if you do have your shit figured out, you should use those years to just have fun.
I know. Yeah, don't limit yourself to the responsibility of, you know,
Having a kid
owning
sucks.
a house and sending your kid to school.
The best birth control is when I see kids walking around, just kids in public anywhere. That is my best birth control.
God, I hate kids.
Like-
They're so annoying.
Ah,
I don't know. Some kids are funny. I'd imagine me and my friends probably give people a reason to not want to have kids. I guess what I'd say is, in contrast to what you were saying, you know, I have a very public. Not only is my Instagram profile public to anybody who wants to look at it, but I have posts. I took down all of my posts probably up until about 7th grade. But I still have 7th grade and on there. And I have like a story highlights thing that has all my crazy fun stories that I posted. And it's very obvious if you look at my profile that I've done a lot. And there's a lot on there of me going on trips and hanging out with my friends. And
yeah.
I have a lot of friends, which means I post about a lot of people. So there's a lot of people that show up on there. And I guess it's interesting to think about in the future, is, you know, depending on how much I leave that up, or hopefully I still have the same account. Like,
God.
it doesn't, I don't get hacked or something and it gets
Yeah.
deleted. That would suck. But hopefully, as long as we're not thinking in the terms that would happen, it's a very public profile and it says a lot about me, and I like that. And I like the fact that people can learn about me if they so choose to, based on what I post. But that also comes into play of like we're talking about, you know, 20, 30 years from now. Let's say, hypothetically, for the sake of reason, that I still have the same Instagram profile 20 years from now.
That'd be kind of awesome though.
It would be kind of awesome. It's like any adult can look at me with that, but also, you know, kids can look at me, and my kids can look at it. For me, that's an interesting thought, because I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I don't really know how much I would leave up and how much I would take down. That would be a question for future me, I suppose.
At the very most, private.
I'd probably private it. And if somebody wants to look me up and see what's going on in my life, you know, I don't care.
That's up to them. Like, if they know your name, they know you.
And what if I meet some fine hoes on Instagram? They want to check out my profile.
Some fine hoes.
Fine hoes.
Fine shit. they
Citations.
took fine shit.
Fine shit. I think the one last thing to talk about, I think, before we could wrap it up, is if growing up with social media, if we grew up in the conception of social media, meaning it got better as we grew older, what is it going to be like for kids maybe 10 years or 20 years from now, growing up when social media is at an all-time high usage?
It worries me. It, like, unironically, it worries me. Because, like, just seeing how it is right now, even, and how it's like, I don't want to even say brain control, because that sounds like I'm a freaking parent already.
We
Motivates
gotta all
kids.
put on our tinfoil hats and
Yeah, for sure.
huddle up in the corner.
Unmonitored kids, when they're like 10 to 15 or whatever, in 10 to 15 years, they're gonna like see that shit, be like, hey, I want to also do that. No, that's a very bad idea, and there's no like filtering or whatever, and it's just, I don't know, it like me growing up with social media, it was not the best idea to have Snapchat that early on, because I
Yeah.
could have been exposed to a lot of shit, and I could have been scarred for life and stuff. It is raining, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a sprinkle.
It's just a sprinkle. It's
Yeah, that
whatever.
camera will be fine.
I know for a fact it will be okay. Like, humanity will survive, it will keep thriving, but it's just the humanity behind social media and how it just takes away the human aspect of interacting with
Yeah.
socially with people. That is like the number one biggest concern for 10 to 15 years in the future.
Yeah, and on the same lines is that, the big problem that everybody always talks about with social media is the fact that it's not usually an accurate reflection of somebody.
Oh yeah, no.
And it's the same for me. Although I'm very genuine with what I post, the one thing that always remains true about social media, because there are people that will do this, and I don't know why they do this, but people don't usually post the bad things that happen to them.
Yeah, it's all like the dad lore.
Yeah,
like,
it's
the things
either the
that
dad lore
are
or it's
exciting.
the best parts of your life.
Exactly.
Which is, when you look at someone, it's, even though you know in like probably deep down or inside that somebody doesn't have, a perfect life, it's kind of hard to not get that impression.
Exactly.
They only post positive things about everything.
And then young impressionable, like tweens and teens see that and they're just like, oh, this is how people are supposed to act and be like in the future.
Yeah.
I should strive to be like that.
When
And
you
it's
should
just- it's
strive
just
to,
not.
you should strive to have your own life.
You should
not
strive to have
imitate
an
other
actual
people.
friend group
Yeah.
and not like online friends only.
Yeah, I
Online
agree.
friends, pretty cool, pretty aight. But you need to have a social space that you see like at least once a week just to be sane.
So yeah, I guess I feel like we've probably talked about everything
Yeah.
that we could.
Hey, make sure to like and subscribe. type
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, this is going to be the first
Hopefully.
video that I post to this channel, but I wouldn't expect a consistent schedule
Yeah.
because I'm going to post these whenever I have the time to do a little bit of editing for them.
Yeah.
But, I feel like we should try to get out maybe once a week and do one. We could do guest people invited, have a third lawn chair in the middle. Yeah, I doubt there's going to be many people that are going to watch this right now, but if you do, thanks for watching. If you watched this far, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I don't think I'm being shallow in saying, if we want to grow the channel, you got to help us get there. So feel free to help us get there. Turn on the bell to know when I finally decided to work on another one of these. Support the channel if you want. Help us out. Would be much appreciated. It's sprinkling.
It is sprinkling.
It is sprinkling. We're gonna have to take down the setup and the sprinkles.
You know what else we should take down? Ourselves. See you later, guys.
So yeah, catch you on the flip side.